So hello everyone, my name is Pavel Stelmach and today we continue our wrap-up series in this home format. And to start off, we will talk about the top news of this day. According to one of the most significant updates that comes from Ukraine's military intelligence chief Kyrylo Budanov, he believes that a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia could be really reached in 2025, while the positions of Kyiv and Moscow remain drastically opposed. Budanov stated that most of the necessary components of such an agreement are already in place. This statement offers a glimpse of hope, but question remains how long this possible ceasefire or stop of fire or anything that you say will last. Will it be respected by both sides? And we already may know the answer, that Russia will not respect any agreements, as it has violated the Minsk agreements for hundreds of times. And what compromises, if any, will be required from both sides? And let us talk from the compromise from the side of Russia, not only compromises from the side of Ukraine, because the Minsk agreements were only compromises from the Ukrainian side. And another major storyline is the involvement of US President Donald Trump, who has been vocal about his desire to mediate a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia for a long time already. His approach, however, has raised serious concerns as of now. Trump has increasingly adopted hostile rhetoric towards Ukraine at this moment, which is surprising, to say the least, even going so far as to call President Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator and blame Ukraine for the start of the war. I'm not saying that it is the official position of the United States, it is just words of Mr. President taken out of context from his statements. And adding to the tensions, Trump has held private discussions with Russian officials and reportedly aims to leverage Ukraine's natural resources as part of the New Deal. According to leaked reports, the US is seeking to control 50% of all available natural resources of Ukraine, port infrastructure, everything. Adding to that, as part of compensation package for American aid. Zelensky, however, has resisted signing any agreements without clear security guarantees yet. As we know, in Munich he was proposed to sign an agreement with the United States, and as some sources claim, without any security guarantees at the table. This situation underscores a really troubling shift in US foreign policy. Trump has regained power and Ukraine could find itself in a very difficult position right now, pressured into making concessions very fast that might not align with long-term sovereignty and security goals of our country and of those of the United States themselves. The exclusion of Ukraine from key US-Russia discussions in Saudi Arabia lately has already raised alarms in Kyiv and in Europe, with many questioning whether Europe and Ukraine has been distracted from this negotiation process and sidelined it. As US support for Ukraine becomes more uncertain, European nations are facing a stark new reality. They must ramp up their own defense efforts, and very fast. Russia's military expenditure has surged for the last 3 years, and with Ukraine's fate hanging in a balance, European leaders are realizing that they can no longer rely only on American protection inside the NATO protective umbrella, as you know. Currently, most NATO members in Europe have struggled to reach even the 2% of GDP spending on defense that Trump is demanding, let alone 5% that Trump is now demanding. Countries like Poland and Estonia are leading the charge, increasing their military budget significantly. While Poland is a large country with a large capacity in an army, and Estonia is a smaller country in the Baltics, and even their increasement in GDP spending on defense is very, very significant. While France right now and Germany and the UK are under pressure to follow suit. Those are, like European tigers or European lions of defense in terms of their GDP spending. The biggest challenge, however, is financing this military expansion. European economies are struggling, and the political appetite for massive defense spending is really mixed. One proposed solution is collective EU borrowing similar to COVID-19 recovery fund, but internal disagreements at this moment, particularly with pro-Russian leaders like Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban, could complicate this approach. Another possibility is loosening EU fiscal rules to allow for increased military investment soon. Some leaders are also pushing for the European Investment Bank to fund these defense projects directly. However, it happens that one thing is clear: if Europe does not act decisively and fast right now, the security vacuum left by America's warning support could leave the continent vulnerable to a Russian attack imminently. As we conclude this episode, the future of Ukraine's defense is currently uncertain. Ukrainian President Zelensky has met Kit Kalak in Kyiv, and potential ceasefire offers a glimmer of hope, but whether it will lead to a lasting peace, that is really uncertain and depends on multiple factors. Russia's willingness to negotiate in good faith, which is already sounds surrealistically and really not possible. And then the US support policy to Ukraine, insecurity guarantees. That policy could shift dramatically in the coming years, potentially undermining whole Ukraine's defense effort for the last almost 3 years of the full-scale invasion. Meanwhile, Europe is at crossroads. Will it step up to the challenge that it faces, or they will not, and they will fail to do so in spite of their bureaucracy and unwillingness of some pro-Russian European leaders to invest in common European support. Imagine this: NATO members such as Hungary and Slovakia, which are governed by pro-Russian politicians, could veto potential common European defense initiatives, which is really playing in hand with the aggressor in our continent. And only time will tell, but only one thing is certain: the decisions made in the next year will shape the geopolitical landscape of not only Europe, but let us pretend that the whole world security rules will be changed by what happens right now in Ukraine and in Europe as a whole. Thank you for joining us to this episode. I really hope that you like our format while we are still refurbishing the studio and preparing to report in a more familiar way to you. And stay tuned, don't let propaganda win. Be sure to like and share to this video and help us deliver the news of the free world directly from Ukraine to you.